He is nice. He's a nice guy. Then you got Muse. We both got into them.
Yeah.
They were another band. They've been around since 1999, but they didn't really... I mean, that's pretty much almost 2000s, but they didn't really hit their stride till about mid to late 2000s, you know. Sometimes these bands hang around for years and nobody really listens to them until they have that one breakout song or album. So we got into them. We've seen them a couple times. Amazing shows.
Yeah.
The drones and everything. That was really cool. Oh, actually, the first time I saw was not with you.
It was
That's
not
right.
with me, no.
But they came down to a stage in a pyramid. It was really cool. It was really cool. They always have good visuals.
Yeah.
So that's our music interests, just so everyone out there knows kind of what we're into. So we are big rock and metal. And if you ever need to know a crazy fact, like David Coverdale from Whitesnake started out in Deep Purple. You know, if you need to know stupid facts like that.
He was in Deep Purple?
He was in Deep Purple.
As a singer?
Yep. Well, of course. It's David Coverdale. He's one of the best voices in rock and roll. People call him a Robert Plant ripoff, but whatever.
No, there's actually a new band. I'm going to mess it up. Greta Van something. I was going to have you listen to them. I swore up and down. I thought this was a Led Zeppelin song I just never heard of before. And it's this new band, and they sound like Zeppelin. So I'll have to talk about them in the next week or so. But yeah, I wanted to listen to them a little bit more. I heard it today, and I was just like, this is a new song? I thought this was Zeppelin.
Yeah, the old rock's kind of coming back.
Yeah, it's good because, you know, kind of the stuff that's around right now can be kind of lame. So bring it back.
I agree. So I know all kinds of crazy little rock trivia facts. So if anybody needs any kind of knowledge there or is playing Music Jeopardy, I am the guy to contact, hopefully. Of course, somebody's going to come with something and I'm not going to know it now. So that's going to lead into, now that everyone kind of knows our music interest, every so often, not every show probably, but every so often we want to do an album review. We want to give the current album, which we're kind of doing this week. Mm-hmm. We could do a Beatles album from the 60s or an album from the 80s. We'll kind of revisit it. Maybe we can open up some people's minds to things they've never heard before.
Yeah.
You know, have an open mind, please, if you listen, because you might find something you've never really thought of and might turn out to be your next favorite thing. It's always fun discovering new music. It's like one of my favorite things in the world.
Yes.
Discovering new music. Even though I am stubborn sometimes when it comes to it.
Yes.
As we can attest to another time with a specific band.
Yes.
That I'm a big fan of now. We're going to get into our album review. Album review. Thank you, Kevin, for that awesome album review intro. That was glorious. Voice of a generation, I think. Glorious. So, we're going to talk about Foo Fighters' album Concrete and Gold.
Yeah, this had just come out maybe a month ago.
Yeah, it might be longer than that. Is it a couple months ago? Anyway, it's this year, not that long ago anyway. Mm-hmm. We know a couple of their songs are up for the Grammys, like we talked about last week.
Yep.
For Best Rock or in some of those categories, Best Rock Performance, whatever it is. But their album's not up for Best Album, and we're not sure if that's just because it came out too late.
I think it came out too late. I'm pretty sure this came out not too long ago. Yeah.
And
so I think it came out too late.
I'm pretty sure the Foo Fighters would probably be in that discussion in that category.
Yeah, but the single made it, which is why the single run, which is why that's been nominated now a few times.
So what do you think of this album overall? What would you say about it?
It's not terrible, but it's not great either. I would say it's okay. I think Dave Grohl said it was like Motorhead trying to do a Sgt. Pepper album, and that's the greatest explanation of what it is. I mean, it's like the Beatles, but hard. It's like it's like a harder Beatles, and that's a great way to sum it up because that's what this album is. It's just the Beatles if they were on, I don't know, on crack, or they met Metallica or something. Or Slayer or somebody.
Right, maybe not Slayer extent,
maybe
but
Slayer.
I could definitely see Motorhead or Metallica. Yeah, I mean, it definitely has a Beatles feel to it. The one song, Sunday Rain, which is towards the end of the album, the 9th song on the album, actually. Paul McCartney's actually the drummer on it.
Oh, yeah, that's the one.
And if you didn't tell me this was Foo Fighters, and you just said, hey, Kevin, listen to this, what do you think? I'd be like, this must be like early Paul McCartney, like Band on the Run album or something, because it almost sounds like Jet or Band on the Run or Live and Let Die, like that kind of era. Even maybe like late Beatles, if you want to say maybe it was like Abbey Road but it's kind of apropos that Paul McCartney plays in a song that sounds like a Paul McCartney song.
Yeah. I think Taylor Hawkins sings on that one too.
I thought that.
I think he sings.
I was hearing the voice and I was like, this doesn't sound like Dave Grohl. It sounds like Taylor Hawkins, because I know he usually gets 1 or 2 songs on the album.
Yeah. And apparently Justin Timberlake is also on here somewhere.
Yep.
And so is one of the guys from
Boyz II Men. That's right. And one of the songs is written by Adele's co-writer.
Yeah, well, he also, Greg Kirshner,
yes,
if I say it right, he also produced the album.
Okay.
So that's why it also kind of has like a little pop thing. And it's funny, Pat Smear had no idea who Adele was.
Really?
Yeah, because I think, Dave Grohl was excited to work with Greg Kirshner, and he's telling Pat about it, and he's like, he did Adele's album, like the biggest album ever, and Pat Smear's like, I don't even know who that is.
Pat Smear,
he must live under a rock.
Interesting character. Like when he was hosting his fashion show
that was awesome.
in the 90s on MTV.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
He's an interesting guy. Definitely an interesting guy.
That's why I thought it was funny he didn't know who Adele was. I'm like, were you into like fashion and things like that? You know who Adele is.
I mean, I guess Adele, you don't think fashion, I guess.
I don't know, but I don't know.
Well, his music tastes are a little different.
That's true.
I think.
Yeah.
He's into like, what were they called? Black Flag, which I think was Henry Rollins' like punk band. Actually, I think was he in that? Was he in Black Flag with Henry Rollins? I forget.
I don't know.
I think that's where he started, possibly. He was in some band before he joined Nirvana at the end of their life there.
It would make sense he's in punk.
Yeah. So I think he's into that. So Adele,
wouldn't, really fall into that category.
I don't know if Pat Smear has any kids or anything. So, if you had kids, they'd probably listen to Adele.
Yeah.
So he probably, it kind of makes sense when you think about it. He probably has no connection. But you would think she's the biggest singer in the world at one point.
Yeah.
Still kind of is. I mean, I know she's going through things right now, her issues, but you would think he would know who she is. Anyway, so what was your favorite song on the album?
Well, I had 2.5.
2.5 favorite songs, okay.
Well, I like the single Run. To me, that's like the actual almost Foo Fighter sounding type of song on the entire album. So I really liked Run a lot. I like La Di Da. That's kind of very, I think what it's supposed to be like teenage angst and just angry and like hard. It's just a cool, heavy song. I like that one.
There's nothing like almost 50-year-olds singing about teenage angst.
Yeah.
They would know.
They would know. But it's great. They do a good job at it. And then Happy Ever After, 0 Hour, I just thought it's typical Foo Fighters doing something like this. It's kind of a depressing song, kind of a sad song, but they make it sound happy, like they're singing like this happy song, but it's really kind of depressing.
They have some depressing lyrics on this. If you actually really listen, which
it's really,
like you basically stated, you can't really tell from these songs because Foo Fighters are always upbeat, generally, except for songs like My Hero and all that stuff, but generally upbeat. But if you really listen to the lyrics, some of them are a little Dave Grohl's going through something there.
I don't know what's going on.
Getting older.
Yeah. I think that's it. I think it's just, him getting older.
So which song was the half song that you liked?
The Happy Ever After.
Okay, so half of that song you like.
Yeah.
Was it front half or back half? Yeah. So, okay. I think The Sunday Rain was the best song, the one with Paul McCartney on it. And it has nothing to do with Paul McCartney being on it. I'm not biased. I just thought it was a great song. And it's funny because it's the one Taylor Hawkins sings. And I'm not usually a Taylor Hawkins singing fan. When Dave Grohl concerts or anything, he goes away and Taylor Hawkins steps up. I'm like, just bring Dave.
That's because Dave has to play some drums.
I know. I was like, just bring Dave back. But this one, surprisingly, I think is actually the best song on the album. Wow. Now, The Sky's the Neighborhood, I know you were not a big fan of that.
Song.
It has grown on me.
Really?
It's grown.
It has not grown on me.
It's grown. It's got a great beat to it, a great rock beat. Lyrically, probably not the strongest Foo Fighters song lyrically.
Yeah.
But it's just got a great...
It's got a good hook.
Yeah, that's the word exactly. Great sing-along.
Yeah, the hook is good. I just can't stand the rest of the song, so that's why it killed it for me.
Yeah, I could see that. I just feel like it's a good driving song when you're driving. You're just kind of banging your head, and not literally banging your head because you'd probably crash into people. But all you '80s people and metal guys, you know what I'm talking about, banging your head. So Any other thoughts you had on this album?
Not really. I mean, I was kind of, because I said, let's do the Foo Fighters' new album as our album review, and kind of regretted that because I had to listen to it again. But it was good. Because I wasn't a fan. But then again, and then I turned around and I was like, oh, La Di Da is actually pretty cool. And, the other one that I kind of liked, Happy Ever After. Some of them weren't bad. They wanted to make a weird album and they did it. And I don't know how I feel about it. It's not one of my favorites. Like, what's the one that they came out 2 years
Wasting
ago?
Light.
Wasting Light gave me goosebumps.
That's a great one.
That's like my favorite album. I think that was like almost like their peak.
I think it's their best album they ever did.
Yeah, it's so good. And I think everything after that I've been like, it's okay. It's all right. Like the last one was okay. This one's kind of the same thing. It's like it's okay. They tried something different, and it was okay. This is what they wanted to do, and I'm glad they did it. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't bad. They didn't execute it badly.
It's kind of like the last album. I felt the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
a well done.
Got some
album.
decent songs.
Yeah.
It still wasn't a Wasting Light, and I'm curious to see what your brother thinks of it because he's the biggest Foo Fighters fan I know.
Yeah, he's loved everything.
So I'm kind of curious to see what he really thinks. I know he's listened to it, and we kind of talked a little bit, but I don't know if he's really sat down and gave it a full 100% attention listen.
Yeah.
So when he does that, I'm going to have to get his opinion. But I think it's an album that grows on you.
Yeah,
it's one of those ones where you start listening to it more, and you're kind of like, what album was that for you? I think that was it the Muse album?
It was the Muse.
Not the one that just came out.
The one prior.
With Mad and all that
Madness,
stuff.
yeah.
I remember I was like, man, most of this album is great, and you're kind of like...
It's okay.
Let me listen to it. And then you were like, started listening to it more and more and more, and
then
you
I got
said...
obsessed.
Then you get obsessed with that album, and you thought it was great.
Obsessed with that album.
So I think this one... I don't think it's on the level of that album, I'll be honest, but I think it is one that the more you listen to, I think you get into it a little bit more.
Yeah, I think I've heard enough of it. I don't know if I'll ever... It's so mean. But I don't think I'll go back to this one. Like, I might listen to Run. Like, I'll probably put that on, like, one of my Spotify playlists, and I'll probably add La Di Da. Or what is it called? La Di Di? La Di Da. Yeah, La Di Da. And that's probably it. That'll probably be the last I listen to this album. Unless somebody asks me to listen to it again, then maybe I will, but I think I'm done.
It's a shame, too, because you get so pumped up for Foo Fighters album. When you hear a new Foo Fighters album coming out, if you're a rock fan, I mean, let's be honest, there's not much going on out there right now in terms of rock. I mean, when the biggest stars in rock are 40-year-old and 50-year-old guys, or close to 40s, it's not a good sign for rock music.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit last week. We might have some up-and-comer bands, maybe, like that Nothing More or something. Hopefully, because as a rock fan, we don't want to see it kind of die.
Yeah, definitely.
So when you hear the Foo Fighters are coming out, they're like the rock band of now.
Yeah.
And you get kind of a album that I guess we're going to say in the disappointing side. Mm-hmm. It's a shame. It kind of lets you down.
Yeah.
But luckily
at least
in
our opinion, it lets us down.
Right, and this is all just our opinion, of course. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's not fact. Like I said, your brother, he might think it's like the greatest thing in the world.
I think my brother's going to love it. I think he's going to come in here and be like, this is such a great album. It's the greatest thing ever. You don't know what you're talking about. I like Aerosmith, so that's what it's going to come down to with him. So we'll see what he has to say.
Cool. We might have to bring him in as a special guest one day. Danimal.
Yeah.
And he can give us his opinion on that. I know me and Danimal have some different tastes in music a little bit. We like similar stuff, but then we have some different tastes. So we can talk about that when he comes in.
Right.
Give everyone the scoop on that.
Yes. All right.
So thank God for Queens of Stone Age. That's all I got to say. Thank God I had an awesome rock album, because another one of my favorite bands, which we can talk about another time, maybe review that album.
Yeah, we could do that.
The Killers.
Yeah.
It was a letdown as well. I was waiting for years for that. And
I wasn't impressed with that album either, but we'll have to talk about that.
We'll get into that. Yeah, we'll do a formal album review. So that was our official album review of Foo Fighters Concrete and Gold. If you disagree, if you agree, let us know when you see us. You can leave comments, I know, under our podcast on iTunes and on Spreaker.
Tell us how wrong we are.
Wherever you listen to it. YouTube, we are on YouTube. You can listen to us there. And
yeah.
you can leave comments. So let us know if you disagree or agree, if you think we're idiots, which we probably are. But well, at least
I
me.
think we're right.
At least me, but